In this video, I'll show you the 4 biggest mistakes that can break trust during client handoffs and how to avoid them to keep your clients happy and coming back. These insights come from my own experience and frankly being pissed off with businesses, and it's always the simple things that move things forward. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first mistake that you can make to really piss off your customers when you're onboarding them is just dropping communication after closing them. If they get a quote and they pay for that quote, and then you don't set expectations clearly about, hey, this is when we're going to show up for the clean, this is how the clean is going to go, this is what's going to happen after the clean, you're really dropping the ball, if you will, just setting yourself up for failure, because there was a whole loop of communication that happened during the sales process to get them that quote and to get them to close and basically pay to have their home cleaned. And after you stopped, you did not meet their expectations because they're like, oh, good communication, good communication, good communication, drop off. So that's the first thing you can do to break trust. Don't talk to somebody. So I like to say, in one of my recent videos, I just talked about keeping the conversation going by having that onboarding process clear between the sales guy and the onboarding guy, and making sure there's a warm email intro and that you have that process scripted just to make sure you keep that communication going after closing them. The second mistake a lot of people make is misaligning those expectations between sales and between onboarding. You'll often have a sales guy promising something or taking something away, cutting price, adding a service, taking away a service in a way that is not beneficial to business operations and to the onboarding. So then you have a customer who was promised something by a sales guy, or maybe the sales guy was vague and they didn't clearly communicate expectations. And then the person gets to onboarding like, oh, I thought you guys do this, this, and this. And then you're like, nope, we don't do that. And in that moment, you just lost a little bit of relational equity with that customer. So you always want to ensure that the sales team communicates exactly what was promised to the client to the onboarding team in case they have to make exceptions, and you've given them kind of freedom to make those exceptions. You can communicate that to onboarding so that onboarding can fulfill when those exceptions are made, and that you have the infrastructure to operate well, keep promises, and keep that customer goodwill high so that they can leave you good reviews and give you referrals. So the first mistake we talked about, dropping communication after closing. You just want to keep that going. Get the warm email into onboarding and get that relationship going with that customer from sales to onboarding. Then you want to make sure sales is aligning expectations with what the reality is going to be after they come on as a client. The third thing you want to do is make sure you're not overwhelming clients with too much information at once. For example, if you're like, hey, we're going to clean your 3-bed, 2-bath home, and it's going to be $350 or $450 or $250, whatever the offer is, whatever the pricing is. You would not, in that proposal and in that quote, go line item by line item and say, for each square foot of floor, it's 15 cents. For each burner on the stove, it's this, that, and the other. Like, people only want the necessary information that they need to move forward. And when you provide too much or too little, you're not hitting that sweet spot. And when we're communicating with clients, we want to hit that sweet spot to make sure that everything is clear and that they know what to do to move forward, know what you expect of them and what they can expect of you. So break information down into digestible chunks and send clear, concise emails or videos to guide them through the process. For example, a 2-minute video showing them how a home walkthrough goes would be much more beneficial than 30 bullet points saying everything you need to know about the home walkthrough. And we take that 30 bullet points and you put it into a 2.5, 3-minute video. They can watch it, they can digest it better, and it's not too much information at once because it's presented better. Or you just do the walkthrough on the fly and you ask questions on the fly and they can speak to certain things, and you have your walkthrough process very scripted. But presenting them with 35 bullet points of things you need to know about their house before they clean, probably not a good idea. Not saying anybody's doing it, but also not saying it's never been done. Because people get too much information, give too much information to their clients all the time because they have a million things running through their brain to make sure the client feels what they need to feel. And all of those things are not on the client's brain all at once. So just got to make sure we keep that straight and communicate to the client where they are. And the fourth mistake is failing to personalize the onboarding process. And really where the gap here is not documenting the conversations leading up to the sale and after the sale. And so when you have a sales guy and they got 3 or 4 very important details about a client during the sales process, and then the onboarding person has to ask about those 3 or 4 details again later because the sales guy didn't document them, or the onboarding person didn't read the sales guy's notes and prepare for the meeting well, that's when you make people feel not them. You make them feel a little isolated. It's a little less personal. It's like, okay, I get that this is a business. I get that they're doing a lot. So they might have grace for it and they're just expecting you to clean their house. But it's the little things, knowing the little things about people that will take the relationship to the next level and lead to a review or a referral or another purchase. And so you really want to make sure you personalize all that communication with each client by referencing specific details that were discussed during the sales process, like their cleaning preferences, their pain points, the reason they're getting their house clean, specific things that they like complimented. Maybe they're a quality time person and they want 5 minutes to talk, or maybe they're a words of affirmation person. They want to compliment on how they set up their kitchen. Whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you're doing it so that you meet that client's expectations and exceed that client's expectations. So those are the 4 mistakes that I really see people drop the ball on to kind of screw up that customer onboarding. Again, it's dropping the communication after closing, misaligning those expectations between sales and onboarding so the customer is confused, overwhelming clients with too much information at once, and then failing to personalize the onboarding experience by not having those notes throughout the sales process. And so when we're talking about that kind of communication flow from sales to onboarding and just with that client, what are some of the things that we need? I want to talk to communication consistency for a second here. If you have regular check-ins, even if they're brief, that can prevent clients from feeling neglected. So after the quote happens and they close, you send them an email introducing them from the salesperson to the onboard person. And that onboard person says, hey, we'll contact you in the next 24 hours with this, this, and this. And after that contact, you say, we'll contact you in the next 48 hours with this, this, and this. We'll clean your home here. We'll have a 3-minute walkthrough, 5-minute walkthrough to understand your preferences or reaffirm your preferences, because I know that they're this, this, and this from the sale. If anything else pops up during that walkthrough, feel free to mention it. They already feel known. And so when you have those regular check-ins, regular updates, it prevents clients from feeling neglected and actually makes them feel like they're in a relationship with the business. Second thing for communication consistency is make promises, keep promises, follow through, and reassure clients during the transition. You always want to under-promise and over-deliver. So have that onboarding process scripted out. We're going to make 7 promises, keep 7 promises, and we're going to add an 8th promise with a cherry on top just to make sure we have over-delivered. Under-promise by setting expectations. If you know it takes you 3 hours to do a clean, maybe set it for 4 or say we will not bill you for any time over or something like that. You don't want to overwork your employees, but you also want to make sure that you meet expectations. So when you're under-promising around cleaning structure, cleaning time, cleaning pricing, it sets you up to over-deliver. So if you give a quote, I say $350 for the 3-bed, 2-bath clean, and then you can clean it in 2 hours and 45 minutes, and you can bump it down to $310, they'd be really happy with that. So now you've under-promised and you over-delivered. Simple example of something that can go a long way. It's like when we went to Terry Black's the other day and we ordered 3 pounds of brisket. That's a barbecue shop here in Austin. They gave us 4 burnt ends at the end. They under-promised. They're like, hey, we're going to give you 3 pounds of brisket for this price. But then they added the burnt ends. That's the over-delivering. The third key for communication is just 3rd-grade language with simple instructions on one action at a time. You want to make sure that things are simple, readable, and that there's one moving forward action at a time. And when that action is completed, you can give another instruction. So I want to make this personal to you guys now. What do you need to do as a result of this video? Make sure you have that welcome email sequence set up so that communication doesn't drop off. That should take you 30 minutes to set up. It's 3 emails, just like, hey, love that you're doing business with us, et cetera, et cetera. Here's what you can expect over the next 72 hours before we clean your home. You also want to have that weekly sales and onboarding alignment conversation to make sure that expectations are clear, communicate to the client such that it sets onboarding up for success. You want to map out the customer journey, expectations, and actions just to facilitate that onboarding and making sure you're communicating to clients such that you're not overwhelming them. And then finally, you want to refer back to specific details in their experience with you as a business via CRM notes. So set up the CRM so you have notes. That should take you an hour. Map out the customer journey, expectations, and actions so you know what actions you communicate to the client at what time. That should take you 1 to 2 hours. Weekly sales and onboarding alignment conversations, 15 to 30 minutes, and set up that weekly email sequence in your CRM should take you 30 minutes. That's all. 4-5 hours of work, and you guys should be good with the sales and onboarding with an ongoing 30-minute meeting. And hopefully all of this helps you to stop losing clients because of poor handoffs, so you can fix these 4 mistakes and set yourself up for long-term success. And you guys know why we're doing this. We're trying to help 800,000 entrepreneurs grow to $2 million per year in profit so that they can give half of that to an endowment restart from that community to raise the standard of living across the world to middle-class America so that everybody has more than enough food, shelter, water, and safety. We appreciate you being here. If you know of something that can help me help you get to that 2 million, a topic you want me to talk about, drop it in the comments below. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.